Thousands of years ago, a strong and smart civilization quietly grew on the flatlands between what we now call Pakistan and northwest India. No tall pyramids touched the sky. No famous kings wrote their names on stone. No big stories of war were told again and again. And still, the Indus Valley Civilization became the biggest city-based society of the ancient world. Bigger than Mesopotamia, bigger than Egypt. It spread across 386,000 square miles and had some of the smartest and most well-planned cities of its time. But today, this civilization feels like a ghost in our history. Hidden, forgotten, and maybe the most interesting part, still a mystery. Historians call it the Indus Valley Civilization or the Harappan Civilization. But what we really know is not very much. There's no known writing, no famous kings, no big temples or statues for gods. And still, what they left behind shows us something amazing. This might have been the most advanced, peaceful, and well-planned civilization the ancient world ever had. Long before the pyramids reached up into the Egyptian sky, and long before Hammurabi carved his rules into stone, the Indus Valley Civilization was quietly starting to grow. Around 7000 BCE, small farming groups began to appear in places like Mehenjo-Daro. These early people, they raised animals, grew wheat and barley, and slowly learned how to control the wild rivers that flowed through their land. It didn't happen all at once. No big buildings, no battles, just a slow and quiet change. By 3300 BCE, the early Harappan time had begun. More villages popped up. Pottery became nicer and better made. Strange signs showed up, scratched into clay, like tiny secrets of a language we still don't understand. Then, around 2600 BCE, something amazing happened. Some villages turned into big busy cities. This was the start of the mature Harappan phase, the golden time of the Indus Valley Civilization. Cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro rose up from the land with smart and careful planning. Straight roads, same-sized bricks, and clean city designs that could even surprise modern builders. Unlike Mesopotamia or Egypt, these cities weren't made for gods or kings. They were made for people to live in, to use every day. And that might be the most amazing part of all. At first look, the cities of the Indus Valley may seem like just piles of old bricks, broken memories lost in time. But if you look closer, you'll see signs of something very smart. Their city planning was careful and used math. Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, Dolavira, each was built with streets that met at right angles, and the homes were in neat square-like groups. The houses were lined up like puzzle pieces. Whole cities were built in such a smart way that even today's builders would be amazed. But the real clever part? It was under the ground. Every single house, rich or poor, was linked to an underground drainage system. Dirty water moved through brick sewers, many covered with stones you could open for cleaning. These were not just open drains, they were planned, sloped paths, manholes, waterways to stop flooding. In some places, there may have even been trash cans and lights on the streets. This wasn't just smart thinking, this was teamwork on a big level. Inside the houses, there was comfort, quiet. Many had more than one floor, built with same-sized bricks, and had private courtyards, away from the noisy streets. Some had their own wells, tiled bathrooms, covered toilets, not temples, not big tombs, but bathrooms, and drains. That was the legacy of the Indus Valley. The lifeblood of the Indus Valley wasn't fighting or winning wars, it was working hard and making things. About 80% of the people were farmers. They grew wheat, barley, and cotton, using water from rivers to help their crops grow. Cotton, in fact, may have been made into thread and cloth here first, long before others even tried. This civilization started in the soil, but it didn't stay there. It reached the seas too. from the docks of Lothal to the roads that went all the way to Afghanistan. The people of Harappa were moving and trading beads, cloth, ivory, blue stones called lapis lazuli. They sent these things far away. They didn't use coins. Instead, they used cube-shaped stone weights, carefully made and word size, so that trading was fair. And then came the seals, carved with animals and strange symbols pressed into clay like a tag to show who owned what, like old-time logos. Some of these seals, they reached all the way to Mesopotamia, where traders called them people from Meluha. Their lives weren't just simple, they were full of color. Men and women wore rings, necklaces, and bangles, sometimes all over their arms. Children played with clay toys, spinning tops, and tiny whistles. Dice games were played, just like some games we still play today. The food, full of variety, grains, fruits, milk, meat, fish, and every place had its own taste. These people weren't just living in the Bronze Age, they were smart builders, artists, and traders living in some of the world's first real cities. Even though the Indus people were amazing builders, their spiritual or religious life is still a mystery. There were no tall temples, no big statues of gods, and, most important, no writing we can read. What we do have are little clues, clay stamps, small clay dolls, stone platforms, and one image that makes people wonder. A person, sitting with legs crossed, animals around, wearing something that looks like a horned hat. It's called the Pashupati seal. Some people think it shows Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction. Others say it's the lord of animals, which might mean they respected nature, or maybe even did early yoga. But since we can't read their writing, we don't know for sure. The Indus script, about 400 special signs, has never been read, and unlike Egypt's hieroglyphs, there is no Rosetta Stone to help us understand. Still, their rituals left signs behind. The Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro was not just a big pool. It was carefully made with a kind of glue called bitumen, maybe used for special cleanings or ceremonies. Fire platforms found in Kalibangan might have been used for sacrifices, and still, there is no sign of a group of powerful priests. No temples, no big religious leaders. If they had a religion, maybe it was quiet. Maybe it lived in the kitchen, not in big speeches, but in silence. And then, they were gone. Around 1900 BCE, the big cities of the Indus Valley started to fade away. Streets that were once full of people became quiet. Drains got blocked. Writing stopped. Trade broke down. And those great cities, once full of smart planning, were slowly, quietly left behind. What went wrong? The most common idea blames nature. The weather may have changed, and the monsoon rains got weaker. Rivers like the big Sarasvati may have dried up or changed direction. With little water, farming became hard. People moved east, looking for better land. Some experts think the ground shifted, which caused floods in some areas and no rain in others. These weren't fast disasters, just slow, tough changes that made city life too hard. In the 1900s, some British archaeologists had a darker idea: invasion. They looked at skeletons found in Mohenjo-Daro and the Rig Veda's strange lines about fort destroyers. But newer studies don't agree. The skeletons were found in different spots and don't seem to come from one big fight. Skeptical, then come the wild ideas: ancient bombs, alien machines, flying ships. These sound exciting, but no real proof has ever been found. Oh, is still not much. The cities weren't smashed. They were left behind, and in their quiet emptiness, they left more questions than answers.